Many thanks for staying with us. It's still the conversation here in Lagos. And you know how we do it. We give you gists and happenings, that have to do with Lagos. Today, we're exploring a transformative initiative that speaks to the heart of um, climate action, public health, and sustainable living.
Hmm.
The Clean Cook Stove project of a Lagos state government. We all know that millions of Lagosians still rely on firewood. You'll be shocked, and charcoal for cooking, which leads to the deforestation, carbon emissions, and severe health hazards. Just before we came on air, our guest was just telling us, when she was having a conversation with one of them, what was coming out of her breath, wasn't healthy at all. So this project aims to address challenges that affect, of course, women and children by promoting affordable, clean, and efficient cook stoves. Joining us to shed light on this important topic is, I, should I call her our own or a familiar face? Titilayo Oshodi. She's a special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. It is always a delight to have you around.
You're
Well, I'm
welcome.
your own.
Yeah. Well, before we continue this conversation, we'll have to go on a short break now, and when we return, we'll get into the conversation properly. Stay with us.
It's still the conversation on Lagos television, and as I said earlier, we are looking at the Clean Cook Stove project, and our guest is Titilayo Oshodi, special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. But we'll begin this way by looking at an overview of a Clean Cook Stove project and why it has been prioritized by the Lagos state government.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. Good afternoon to all of our viewers as well. This is the first time I'm going to be acknowledging the viewers because there's been a lot of reviews and feedback from the audience and the community.
Are they all positive?
And all pleasant
Okay.
and all very, very insightful as well. So Lagos we have been on this journey in climate literacy, driving advocacy and education to the various stratas of the economy, from the private sector to the communities and our young small businesses, and even the MDAs, the ministries, the departments, and the agency. But this time around, we're pioneering a subnational climate action through a bold portfolio of programs to reduce emission, to promote environmental resilience, and attract sustainable investment. The Clean Cook Stove is one that is representing a silver bullet, if I can call it, because we're going to be launching a Lagos carbon exchange that would help us in the deployment of the 80 million Clean Cook Stove. And they are Panda Clean Cook Stoves. These are stoves that are powered by briquettes, and these briquettes are made from circularized agricultural waste and industrial waste. So it's touching a lot of nodes. We have what we call our green billion tree. Green billion tree that is going to be incentivized, and the plan is to plant a billion tree all across the nation.
Not just Lagos.
Not just Lagos.
Oh,
because the
fantastic.
80 million is nationwide.
Nationwide,
10% of it is what will be distributed
Here in
in
Lagos.
Lagos.
Okay.
And we're still going to be counting, because some of the insights that we have gathered for the first dozen that we have deployed right now, that we have distributed, is telling us that there's a high propensity for us to even get more. And we're not perturbed by that, because of the nature of this project in itself. It's a project that is carbon credited. It is a UNFCCC and Article 6.4
yeah.
powered project.
Yeah.
And so there's so many other benefits that would come with it.
Okay, this Cookstove design, I wish we had one here so that we can see as we're talking. How does it differ from the traditional cooking stove? Is it powered by gas or electricity or solar?
So like I said again, so there are various clean cook stoves that are in the market. You know, I tell you this much. There was one that this particular organization that is also founding this one, Green Plinth Africa, that they had done in 2009, and they had it distributed in one of the states in the north. I think it was Borno or Benue. And the power source was solar, right? So there are some that are solar, there are some that are coal, you know, there are some that are small specks of wood, you know. In fact, the very first model that we brought to fore was actually powered by short wood pellets, you know, in very small sizes. But we then, you know, the founders and the partners then went back to think about it, because my mandate within the space of circular economy helps to optimize that task and that framework when we're able to incorporate the sustainable components for circular economy. We know what type of volume is generated from imota, you know, from the rice husks.
Okay.
You know, when you want to process rice, you have to peel it out from the little little skeletons that are around them. You know, that peel, that husk that comes out of it is waste. Usually,
yes, because
there
they
is
usually
also
just throw it
corn hobs as well. The corn hobs and the corn husks, those are elements of waste, but not anymore. They're going to be reproduced. They're going to be reprocessed and reproduced into small cubicle briquettes that would ignite the fire for the use of the clean cook stove. Same with in industrial waste. We usually have sawdust that comes from our planks, our wood. You know, it's a huge volume, and it's not it's not being utilized for our budget, for our balance sheet, our fiscal balance sheet. So this is another plus, which means that it also unlocks a great potential for people who want to go into entrepreneurship. The idea is that those who are already in the business of firewood, might I add, that firewood is a huge economic industry in Nigeria, in Lagos, in fact, where one of the ones that have been marked as the hugely deforested countries because of our the felling of our trees. The firewood industry ranks to about 300 billion naira in a year. So
what happens to them?
Thank you. So what do we do about the entrepreneurs in that space?
Exactly.
That is what this briquette is about, because the transitioning of, you know, selling briquettes as against firewood is the plan that is in transition right now. So there will be, you know, skills, there will be trainings, there will be factories and plants, you know, that will be, you know, established. For instance, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Special Advisor and the Commissioner are already beginning to talk about how they can institute accelerator programs, you know, so that mass production and, you know, a feeling of back-end production, back-end integration into the production of these briquettes begin to come into play.
Okay, those briquettes, I'm trying to imagine, because I think I even have some at home. Are they those roundish, those?
Unfortunately,
But you still ignite them with a match.
Yes. So
Okay, I think I have because I use it for my I use it for
yes.
my incense, you know, at home.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm trying to understand. So let's look at the health implication and, of course, environmental impact of this new Cookstove project. What are some of the risks, you know, posed by the traditional cooking, you know, for women and, you know, of course, children in Lagos? You know, this traditional way of cooking, what are the risks? Because this is what we need to sell, you know, to people that look. In fact, I can imagine someone now saying that, what's today? So they need to understand, you know, what the traditional cooking with firewood, with gold, what it does, you know, the risk it has on themselves.
So we have heard from the horse's mouth, you know, and these are people who live in these communities where their livelihood is solely 100% dependent on firewood. We went to Makoko a few days ago, and you know we couldn't, and this is, we had sent a team ahead to go and sort of do a needs assessment of the ratio of people who use firewood, and it was, you know, the numbers are almost are abnormal, you know. So these are women who, like I was explaining earlier on, that their respiratory organs have been so affected in such a way that they even breathe, and when they breathe, it smells of soot, it smells of smoke, right? We've had testimonials of women who the rate of cancer, you know, and this is one of the things that Daddy Shoki had mentioned, because he grew up in Ajegule. He used to be a scavenger, and he said that the high mortality rate in those areas are actually drawn from respiratory issues. They have cancer. These are women that they don't smoke. You know, it's not as if they indulge in this exigencies. But unfortunately, the continuous inhalation on a daily, the statistics is that one plow of firewood is commensurate to at least 5 packs of cigarettes. You know, so you're taking that in on a daily basis. You know what it can do to your lungs, what it can do to your kidney, what it can do to your skin, what it can do to your eyes. There are cases of eyes that have gone blind, you know, based on that. And let's not even talk about the hygienic effect or the sanitary effect or the aesthetics, you know, of damage that does. None of the houses that we went to in Makoko was, in my own opinion, livable, you know, because it's not only condensed, you know, the air there is humid, you know, there's not a very strong level of aeration. So it's not even the people who are cooking with the firewood,
even those
you know,
living around,
but the environment, the community members. So when I hear government has come again, it's because you know, what you don't know, you don't know. You do not understand the efficacy of it. We are getting feedback from these women, the ones who have gone with the 12 women who have gone with their cooking stoves, and we're finding that their neighbors are coming to say, let me borrow your stove.
You can't borrow.
But we're beginning to look at that as an option, because the idea is that we want to drive as much inclusivity as possible. We want to make life as easy as possible. We want to promote well-being, and that also means,
which is very important.
And that also means that the idea of that community connectivity must be established. So we are not negating, we're not knocking that out, because the stoves are coming at no cost. right? The way the stoves are designed, when you boil your food and it reaches the highest boiling point, you can take your pot out of that cabinet and leave it within, put it in a hot basket and let the steam cook. You can cook beans, you know, in a hot basket. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures, and
like
I think
a pressure
we're
cooker.
send, you know. But the stove in itself is like a pressure cooker. But that hot basket is an extension of a pressure cooker, because it's the steam that cooks the food to boil and to full edible stage, and you can mitigate the risk of it burning. You also have your nutrients as much as possible conserved in your pot. So let's imagine you're in a face me and slap you, that's what they call it. And you know, one person and you know that they usually have a common
kitchen, yeah.
So you have that stove in there, and you know, Tola, you know, boils her beans, and then Rashida says, you know, let me also use it. What we want to do before we get into every household having a stove is that let's have hot baskets or hot boxes, you know, so that each person, once you finish, you know, cooking, you can put your pot in that hot basket and let the next person come. The truth about it is that the more we have people using, the more the usage of that stove, the higher our carbon footprints that we are capturing as a diversion away from the use of firewood. And those are measured in, you know, metric tons, and they are interpreted into dollar.
Okay, I'm glad you've spoken extensively about the health risk. When I was reading about this Cookstove project, you know, something caught my attention, which is about the 10,000, you know, naira for 15 years, you know, for the beneficiaries, and it is to enhance energy access and mitigate environmental impact. I'd like you to talk more on that, because these are things they want to hear.
Yes, I would like to blow our horn before I get to that. That is because I cannot but see every time we get a chance to share this, and we lay out these benefits. Our governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, gets really passionate and excited to say, you can't go wrong with this sort of benefits, you know. And we have achieved quite a bit in the model that this Clean Cookstove comes with. Number one, we have that pioneering climate governance in Lagos. We're the first Nigerian subnational to develop a climate action plan. Right, and it is aligned with the Paris Agreement, and it's integrated into various sectors: urban planning, circular economy, and you know, resilient strategies all across. You know, now we're even delving into agriculture. Health is also a very strong pillar in it. So we're very strategic about that integration, making sure that we're touching the right SDG goals. We also have, you know, the Panda Cookstove that is supporting emission reduction. It's also, you know, passing the needle of the gender equity. You know, so because you know that cooking, and Mr. Governor is also very passionate about women, you know, empowering women as an approach, as a strong influence, you know, within our homes. We then also have, you know, the model of the Clean Cookstove in itself. Most exciting, the reason why we can say that each household can collect 10,000 naira as stipend and incentive to cook. See that I said the more people are cooking, the more returns on the investment. We are looking at an investment that is factoring at a minimum of 15 tons of generation, 50 tons of carbon CO2 that is emitted on a yearly basis, and that 15 tons comes at a compliance carbon credit market mechanism of $50 per ton. So we're looking at an average of 6 billion USD, you know, on an annual basis by the use of this 80 million clean cook stoves. Okay, so these stoves are built to last for 30 years, and you know the credits are payable for over 15 years, and we're just trying to be conservative. You know, so if the financial model is designed in such a way that we can forward sell the carbon footprints, the carbon offsets, you know, from this clean cook stove, investors are beginning to have that conversation to say, how can we plug into the investment trajectory or the investment portfolio? You know, because you're looking at the returns here. If you do the math, the returns here is well over 1,000%. For well over 1,000% of what you get to gain, you know, when you invest in it. So yes, we can afford to give 10,000 naira as stipend, you know, for every household. We can afford to give a health policy worth about 40,000 naira, or I think it's 40 or 45,000. We keep, you know, iterating it, because as the demands increase, as the awareness rises, we begin to say, okay, the average home, is it 4 children? Is it 6? Is it 8? You know, so we're working with LASHMA, the Lagos State Health Management Agency, to, you know, define and create specific purpose policies that would align and be tacked on with the 10,000 naira stipend that would be coming in, because, you know, like I said again, it's a health driven program as well. Then there's also the afforestation. We want to be able to ensure that we're the firewoods and the trees that have been replanted, we need to be able to have them replaced, and make sure that we're also beginning to establish a carbon sink that can help, you know, capture for our carbon offsets.
All right, the clean cook stove now, is there a maintenance plan for it? You said that stove will last for 30 years.
Yes.
Is there a maintenance plan? And then how are you also handling, I know you said you've gotten amazing feedbacks from people again, but again, there's something about changing of attitudes. People find it very difficult to adapt to new things. So how are you also engaging the community members to really buy into this, especially women?
So all of that rudimentary data had been captured within that space of incentivization.
Okay.
Because there are also cases where people are sentimentally attached or emotionally attached to their firewood. Ever heard of jollof, smoky jollof?
Yes.
You know, so smoky jollof is a funkilized way of praising the use of firewood. Yes, and we as women have romanticized it. It's gone beyond the shores of Nigeria. Smoky jollof has become a global export. So now, if we want to have our women or our alasis, you know, who want to ensure that they're delivering the most popular smoky jollof, they don't have to use the firewood anymore. There are flavorings and seasonings, you know, that provide that. But, you know, that is also amounting to some cost.
I was going
right?
to say.
So that's why the idea of, you know, providing an incentive, that economic argument, we cannot do anything, but we need to be able to create a benefit for people to move away from that emotional connect. There are people who actually feel that, you know, if they've not ideas that say that if they have not gone into a place and they feel like they have the smell of smoke, that they have not finished cooking, or they don't feel that they've been in the kitchen for quite a number of time. They haven't finished. So different ideologies and nuances like that, that only money is able to break.
Correct.
It's money that is able to break it. So curating these incentives is just another behavioral management perspective to getting people to commit themselves to this sustainable environment, clean adoption of ways of life, and also being more aware about their health and taking decisive steps towards doing that.
But the maintenance of the stove.
Maintenance of the stove, you know, we have a lot of, you know, apart from the fact that we're generating a humongous amount, you know, of investment from it, the side effect or the side benefits of this is that there is a sizable number of clean stoves that will be coming into the country, but these stoves are being imported, and after a cap of about 100,000, we will be generating the carbon credit and reinvesting them in factories and workshops. So those factories will then begin to copulate, you know, the templates that are being used for the manufacturing and the ones that are being imported. Because the quality of the pot is not one that can be compromised, for us to be able to get the high integrity carbon credits that we require for the returns on this investment, the parts would come in, you know, but they would be assembled in Nigeria. Now, because these products are also in connection with MRV entities, and these are technology entities that monitor, they report, and they verify the carbon credits. Each of these stoves come with a tracker, a monitoring device, you know, that is AI generated, such that you're able to read data across behavior, across usage, across break of any parts, repairing. So it sends that. It
sounds like a signal.
The signals, you know. So there will be skills, there will be programs, skills acquisition program for knowledge of transfer in the maintenance and the repair. I mean, it's nothing is 100% guaranteed, but these stoves are made to last for minimum of 30 years. So that means that, you know, a malfunction is as reduced as possible. We never say never, but they are as reduced as possible. That doesn't mean that it doesn't open up a space for knowledge, just like they have solar panel people now and inverter people. There will be that knowledge ability, where we're going to be creating curriculums, and we're going to be having conversations with WAPA in that area. We're going to be having conversations with Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. You know, we're very excited about, you know, the interrelativity that we can establish between ministries and departments and agencies in optimizing the operationalization of the stoves.
Okay, there's no way you come here we will not still talk about the circular economy, which is one of your core advocacies. So what role does this project play in helping Lagos meet its, I wrote the English down, emission reduction or net zero target?
It's important that I note here that there's so many co-benefits. When I say co-benefits, programs, projects, initiatives that will be pulling out from this cooking stove project. On the local government level, there are 5 different initiatives that are designed to come for each local government after the establishment of the Clean Cookstove.
Okay.
Right? From a circular economy perspective, the idea of circular economy is to be able to reuse, reduce.
Because with you,
and also
nothing is waste.
Yes,
nothing is a waste.
Recycle, opportunities. So the Clean Cookstove also presents an opportunity to recycle and to reuse, potentials that are within it. We will be greening MSMEs, with 10 million solar generators, because once you have a certain level of cap in terms of investment, what you want to do is reuse that returns on investment to create a wider plethora of opportunities for job, opportunities for economic development, opportunities for infrastructure development, opportunities for businesses to be able to expand and scale and ultimately drive the GDP for each local government. So we're going to be greening our micro, small and medium enterprises with 10 million solar generators. We're going to be greening our local government headquarters with a combination of clean energy solutions. They will have sustainable power generations in those areas. It can be, the sources can be solar, it can be biogas, it can be innovative energy efficiency program, anything that is suitable regarding...
Apart from generators.
Anything that is suitable and appropriate for each community, because communities have their different prevailing waste quotient, right? We're going to be doing clean energy plants, generating about 30,000 megawatts of solar generation in all the LGAs. We will have green, smart, sustainable communities in the LGAs, and we'll also have green, smart, sustainable schools in the LGA. So you will notice that, I've said that for the local government. We have the local government, and then we have side co-benefits of projects on the community side as well. On the communities, 7 smart sustainable development projects in 10,000 communities nationwide. We start with fresh water programs. They will have 10 of that, per each community is, dispersed around. Smart clinics, we will work with the primary healthcare board to have these facilities smartly designed. Public toilets and washrooms, solar street lights, waste to value facilities where they will be producing briquettes, hot baskets, hot boxes, tiles, interlocking stones. All of those things have circular economy. All of those things have circular economy components and sustainable factors incorporated into them. We will have green, smart, sustainable market as well. Some of the ones that we have right now from the Ministry of Agriculture, we're going to also, pull in some circularity, because, some of those the waste that is generated right now, they're working with Loma to ensure that they're driving it to develop biogas, for powering. And then climate smart agriculture. So in line with circular economy, we're going beyond the rudimentary area of circular economy. We're reinvesting, we're recirculating, we're recycling assets, and and budgetary functions as well. And it goes really, really deeper, because at the end of the day, what we're saying is that this project is supposed to generate not just the 10 billion that we're talking about, but there's also a large expanse of economic, dynamic, transformative benefits for the society on a social inclusion basis, on a regenerative finance basis, on an economic development trajectory.
I have to leave this conversation here now. We can go on and on talking about this.
I said it earlier. When you have Mrs. Oshodi here, she's always a delight. We are like, you're in school. You have your pen and paper. You are putting things down. It's always a delight to have you. We never end this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing this insightful perspective. We were talking about the clear
The clean
okay, it's the handwriting here. The Clean Cookstove project with Titilayo Oshodi, special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. And when I mean governor of Lagos State,
Yes,
Babajide
yes,
Olushola
yes.
Sanwo-Olu.
Yes.
We are the ones that do the magic in
Pioneer,
Lagos.
you know, we want the circular economy.
Yes, I wanted to ask, but we don't have time. Congratulations,
Mr. Circular.
Mr. Circular.
Economy. Yes.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
We'll go on a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues.